Hi and welcome to this month's practice. This month we're going to slow things down a little with a yin style of practice. Yin is a beautiful way of practicing yoga where we take things a lot slower. We hold poses for 1 to 2 minutes. In this practice, if we were practicing in a class, they would tend to be slightly longer, up to about 5 minutes. It's a perfect opportunity to turn inwards in a much more meditative style of practice. Today's sequence is designed especially to alleviate stress. Stress, unfortunately, is an inevitable part of life, and it's fine if we can actually manage to offset that. What happens with stress is it activates our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight response. When that is activated, the stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline seep into our body, and unfortunately cortisol makes our amygdala, the centre of fight or flight, more sensitive. So of course, with these stress hormones through our body and amygdala being more sensitive, we're more likely to be triggered, we're more likely to be stressed, we're more likely to activate the fight or flight response, and the sympathetic nervous system is activated. However, when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, we can't activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system. And we need these two systems to work in alignment and balance together for our autonomic nervous system to work at its optimum efficiency level and keep us going. So it's really important to take some time on a daily basis to do something like yoga or meditation, which really helps to bring that parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, back into alignment. Anyway, that's enough talk. Let's get on with the practice. We're going to start today standing. So standing in Tadasana, feet about hip distance apart, hands at your heart center. And just bring your awareness to your feet, and particularly to the soles of your feet. Really connecting to the earth beneath your feet. And then take a moment to imagine you have roots growing out from your feet and that they're growing into the earth's layers. Down, down, down through all the layers of the earth until they come to the centre of the earth. And then allow these roots to wrap themselves around the earth's core 3 times. And then start to draw that wonderful grounded earth energy back up through your roots. Up, up, up through the layers of the earth, coming up to the soles of your feet. And then gently drawing that grounded earth energy up through your legs, into your torso. Draw the energy up towards your heart, giving your heart a great lovely hit of grounded earth energy, and then continue allowing that energy to flow up through your chest, your neck, your skull, and out through the crown of your head. Just taking a moment or two to ground yourself into this present moment before we start the practice. Noticing and checking in with how you feel. And then we're going to take the feet slightly wider than hip distance. You're going to breathe in, coming up onto the tiptoes, taking the arms overhead, and as you breathe out, bringing the hands through centre, lowering the heels, and coming into yoga squat. Elbows on the inside of the knees. You may notice that your heels come off the floor a little. That's absolutely fine. In time that will change. If you have a yoga block or a DVD box set or a decent hardbacked book, you can always place that underneath your bottom on its end, and you can just sit on the block. Yoga squat is a beautiful pose for opening up through the inner thighs, the outer hips and the lower back, but it's also incredibly grounding, which is really helpful when we're managing stress levels. So just take a moment to return your attention back to the soles of your feet, connecting to the earth beneath your feet, and taking a few moments to ground yourself. Breathing nice and smoothly. Releasing the hands, coming up into a standing forward fold, walking the feet closer together. Your fingertips may not touch the floor, taking hold of your elbows, taking a tiny bend in the knees as you forward fold. Breathing nice and smoothly. This is a wonderful pose. Any forward fold, whether it's seated or standing, is deeply restorative. And with each exhalation, take a moment to imagine all your stresses and strains pouring out of the crown of your head. So you may imagine them as images. It really depends how you perceive your world. It may be that they are words, it may be energy, colours, it may be like a flow pouring out of your head. One of my clients likes to imagine conkers with all her stresses and strains, which I rather love. It's quite fun, as it conkers dropping out of the crown of your head with your various stresses and strains on and rolling away. Just allowing anything that no longer serves you, anything you're willing to get rid of, to just pour out of the crown of your head as you stay in this forward fold. Just let it go. That's a beautiful thing about the yin practice, is it's very much about letting go and releasing. Releasing the hands and gently rolling up one vertebra at a time and coming down onto your knees, onto the floor. So placing the hips above the knees, we're going to extend the arms out straight, bringing the forehead onto the floor, coming into melting heart. This opens up through the shoulders, through the heart centre, and again is another deeply restorative pose, calming the nervous system, bringing the nervous system back into alignment. If you struggle to get your forehead onto the floor, you can always use a book under your forehead to rest on the floor. And if you want to make this a little harder, you can bend the elbows, taking the hands behind your head. But do remember, we're going to start these poses at a 3 or a 4 out of 10, because the longer you hold them, as gravity and your body weight starts to take effect, you'll notice the poses intensify. Coming back to the breath, nice smooth breaths throughout. Slowing our breath right down sends a really powerful message to our brain, helping to calm our mind, because of course we breathe deeply into our belly when we're relaxed. We breathe much more shallowly when we're stressed. So slowing the breath right down is a really useful tool to have to help alleviate stress levels. Two more smooth breaths here. Gently releasing the hands if the arms were bent, hands in prayer pose behind the head, and just sinking back onto your hips, forehead onto the floor, coming into child's pose. Child's pose, another beautiful pose for helping to calm the mind, alleviate stress. Great pose to close down the eyes and turn inwards. Breathing nice and smoothly.
And if you're super stressed, you can even try a technique that I used a lot, particularly during my divorce. I'd go into child's pose and repeat the mantra, I surrender to all that is as it is now, and so it is. I surrender to all that is as it is now, and so it is. This is still a technique I return to often if I find myself feeling stressed or overwhelmed. And you stay in child's pose, repeating the mantra, I surrender to all that is as it is now, and so it is, until you feel a little shift. And a shift is really subtle, feels like a sigh, a smile, a yawn, a lightness in the shoulders, a grounding sensation in the body. Those are all little signs of shifts. I surrender to all that is as it is now, and so it is. Bringing the hands down to rest by your feet. Palms facing up. You can even bring the knees slightly closer together if you wish. You can have the knees close together or apart. It really depends in child's pose how you prefer it. But in this variation, we want the shoulders to melt into the floor, stretching through the upper back. So you may want to bring your knees slightly closer together so that your shoulders can do just that. Two more smooth breaths here. And gently rolling up one vertebra at a time. Swizzling the legs round, coming into a seated forward fold. Extending the legs out in front, taking the arms overhead as you breathe in. Or you can wrap a strap around the ball of your feet and hold on to the straps. And as you exhale, bringing the chest over the thighs. You can also slide a cushion or a pillow between your chest and your thighs, and then you can just melt into the pose, resting on the pillow or the cushion. This pose is known as Pashimotonasana, seated forward fold. As I said earlier, any forward fold is deeply restorative. Really helps to calm and cool the mind. This pose is also great for digestion, and often, as I said at the beginning, when we're in fight or flight, our rest and digest system is offline, and so we can often have associated digestive problems when we're really stressed. So this helps to massage the intestines, great for digestion. Breathing nice and smoothly. Just melting into the pose. Again, closing down the eyes if you wish, turning inwards. It's quite a nice habit to get into when you're practicing yin, because you become more aware of what the pose is feeling like, rather than being concerned with what it looks like. Coming back to the breath throughout, nice smooth breaths. And if you get distracted by thoughts, just remind yourself you've not done anything wrong. Your mind is just doing what your mind does, thinking thoughts. Simply return your attention back to your breath. This pose, you'll also notice, the longer we hold it, it starts to stretch through the hamstrings more intensely. It's also increasing the energy to the nerves along the spine. Pashimotonasana, seated forward fold. Also known as the Great Asana. Asana in yoga means pose. Two more smooth breaths here.
And gently releasing the straps or the hands, taking the arms overhead, bringing the hands back down by your side. And we're going to come to rest on our backs. Coming into happy baby. So lying on the floor, take the feet up towards the ceiling, taking hold of the big toe with the 2 forefingers and the thumb, and resting the elbows on the inside of the knees, keeping the legs bent. The whole of the back is on the floor, so extending out through the sitting bones and along through the spine and up through the crown of the head. You can gently rock from side to side if you wish, massaging the spine and the floor. Inversion, so anytime we get our head below our heart and our feet above our heart is an inversion, and it's really good for every system in the body. It helps the lymph system to drain more effectively, it balances the hormones, it helps the cardiovascular system work more effectively, challenging it in completely the opposite way because we've reversed the flow of gravity. And it's also really good for balancing the nervous system. And that's what we're trying to do. Balance the autonomic nervous system, bring it back into alignment. Offset the negative impact of stress. Studies have shown that people who are experiencing stress can activate up to 800 genes for disease. And yet when we practice things like yoga and meditation, this actually deactivates about 600 of these genes for disease. So really good thing to be getting into the practice of doing. And then releasing the toes, hugging the knees into your chest. Hugging yourself is a really good practice to get into, especially if you're stressed. Now you don't always have to sink down onto your back and hug your knees into your chest. You can simply rub your arms with your hands, and that will help to activate and release oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, into your body. And releasing the feel-good hormones will help to offset the stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline. And we can get quite addicted to these stress hormones. So it's really good to slow things down, turn inwards, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and do little practices like giving ourselves a hug, or of course when you get a hug from somebody else, that helps to activate the oxytocin into your blood. If you wish, you can gently rock from side to side, massaging the spine and the floor. You can close down the eyes if you like, turning your attention inwards. Gently releasing the knees, extending the arms out to the side, and we're gently going to lower the knees down to the right hand side, turning your head to the left in a simple twist, restoring equilibrium in the spine, allowing the body to melt into the floor, breathing nice and smoothly. This pose is preparing us for Shavasana, which is our final resting pose. So just melt into the floor, letting go, releasing any tightness or tension you feel in your body, coming back to the breath, nice smooth breath throughout. And bring the knees through centre, lowering them down to the other side as you breathe out, turning your head in the opposite direction. Trying to keep both shoulders on the floor if you can, closing down the eyes if you wish. Breathing nice and smoothly. And just really melt into the pose, allowing the body to melt into the floor. Bringing the legs through centre as you breathe in and extending the legs into the floor, taking the feet slightly wider than hip distance as you breathe out, bringing the palms to rest either side of your hips, palms facing up, closing down your eyes, allowing your breathing to return to normal. As we allow our bodies to absorb the benefits of our practice. Bringing your awareness to the crown of your head, softening your forehead, releasing the space between your eyes and around your eyes. Relaxing your mouth, tongue and jaw. Softening your throat and neck. Releasing your shoulders. Relaxing your arms and hands. Relax all the way down the front of your torso and all the way down your spine. Relax your hips, pelvis and buttocks. And then relax all the way down the front of the legs and all the way down the back of the legs. Relax the top of your feet, the soles of your feet and your toes. Gently guiding your attention back to your body lying on the mat and to your breath. Bringing your awareness to your hands and imagining you're wriggling your fingers. Now wriggle your fingers and notice the sensations you feel in your hands. Bringing your awareness to your feet and imagine wriggling your toes. Now wriggling your toes, notice the sensations you feel in your feet. If you'd like to stretch, taking your arms along the floor, stretching your hands in the opposite direction to your feet. And when you're ready, gently roll over onto one side, taking a couple of breaths of transition. And then using your hands to guide you, keeping your eyes closed and your head hung low. Slowly and gently transition to a comfortable seated position. Bringing the hands to heart center. Checking in with the way you feel. Taking note of the quality of your mind, quality of your body, and the quality of your breath after doing that practice. Guys, may you find balance in your mind. May you find balance in your body. May you find balance in your breath. And may you find balance in your life. Namaste.